Hello and welcome to a special edition of the GHB Spotlight. I am James Lott Jr. And as you see, that's not Frank Moran. Let me tell you, before I introduce him, let me tell you what's going on. So the times that we're off air right now, we're taking some time off to recalibrate and decide what's next. I've been doing these soap shows for 7 years. I'm getting tired. We're going to figure it out. But in the meantime, we're talking to fans about why they like a particular show. So today's soap block, as you're watching this now, earlier today, it was Candace Mack for Bold and Brian Waters for YNR. So it's kind of like an alternative soap block. So we're still talking about what's going on, not live or not actually happened this week. But I'm going to find out why people watch some of the shows that we watch. This person actually has his own channel. It's self-titled. Once I say his name, then you'll know to go ahead and follow it afterwards. After you watch this, go follow it. And he talks about GH himself, and he's been on one of my shows before with another guy, DC, who does his own show too. That's something different. But help me welcome Albert Bostic. Hi, Albert.
Hi, thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
So you like GH, but I want to find out, do you watch any of the other shows?
Yeah, I watch pretty much all the other shows. So B&B, YNR, Days. Days is probably my favorite right now.
So then why do you do a day show? Wait, can you do GH mostly, right? Is that what you do mostly?
I do all four of them when I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Which one have you watched the longest?
GH. GH I definitely watched the longest. I watched them since high school.
High school, yeah. Which was only a few years ago, right? Only a few years ago, he was in high school. Yeah. So you watched since high school. Do you remember one of the first storylines? Because I asked somebody else at another show that got you into it.
Yeah, well, when I started watching soaps, it was One Like to Live. And that was during the whole train thing and Nora and Colin and stuff like that. So that got me into Port Charles, and then Port Charles got me into GH. So
that's interesting. So the spinoff got you into the main show. That's very interesting. So you like Port Charles then?
Yeah, I used to love Port Charles.
Did you like the whole vampire thing they started to do and the little mini storylines?
Yeah, I mean, at the time it was great. I feel like even like with Days, like how they're doing the supernatural stuff, like now I kind of look at it and it's like, all right, some of this stuff is not really working. But when I was a kid, when I was younger, maybe because the shows are so taboo to like men watching it, that I just loved it. I just got into it. So
yeah, that's right. Was it hard for you to see people like Kelly Monaco go from Livy to Sam? Was it hard for you seeing who played? Well, Homeboy played everybody. John McBain, Life to Live, and all that stuff. Is it hard for you to see them as different characters?
no, I think like now it probably would be, but like back then my perspective was just so different. So, I was just actually glad that I got to sit there and see Kelly Monaco on another show. Because when that show ended, it was like so many people probably lost their jobs and stuff like that. So it was just yeah.
So you've watched a show that ended. What were some of your feelings about that? Like when you're like it's ending, did you understand why it was ending, or were you pissed, or what were some of your feelings?
It was very odd because it's like the energy was a lot different. You felt people were a little sad that it ended, and it ended on a cliffhanger too.
Yeah,
it wasn't. It ended on a cliffhanger and a really good cliffhanger, and it was like, well, I guess we won't be getting to that.
Yes. Do you remember that they kind of were leading that direction a bit on GH a few years ago? They're kind of the whole "is he Caleb?" that whole thing.
Yeah, and I think one of the young guys that died, I think his name was something with an R.
Yeah, no, real life. Yeah. I forgot that. But that whole thing, they almost tried to allude to some of that.
Yeah. No. But like, even I don't remember. It was the guy that Patrick saved, even though he didn't want to save him because I think he caused an accident with some girl or something like that. So I felt like I don't know. It was just weird back in the days, and it's hard to remember some of that stuff, like the earlier stuff of Port Charles. But I remember some of the great stuff though too.
Yes.
Like the hotel fire, the Metro Core stuff, all that stuff.
Yes.
I loved it.
Yes. Well, fans, I'm sure you'll tell us in the chat, in the comments. I'm sure you will tell us, fill us in. I'm remembering some of the stuff too, but I remember a few years ago, well, not so long, a few years ago, they alluded to Homeboy being a vampire and the whole past and all that stuff. So they didn't go fully into it. And they tried to connect Wire to Live and GH, and the whole thing fell apart. And all that kind of stuff didn't happen. So you like the ABC lineup. So did you watch All My Children at all or no?
No, that was actually the one show I didn't watch. Everything else that I did watch though.
Well, okay, well. So you saw Want to Live in too, then, didn't you?
I used to love One Life to Live.
Yeah, it was
I
good.
used to love that show.
Why'd you love that show?
You know, I love the characters on there. I love Colin. Colin was my favorite. Todd was my favorite. I love the whole, Manning family. Star. It was and Asa. Asa to this day is still a legend to me.
He is. How'd you feel about them killing Cole and Star's baby on General Hospital?
It was weird because like they killed her off. I mean, they killed the family off, and then like after a couple of days, she's sitting there dating Michael and stuff, and I'm just like, didn't your boyfriend and your daughter just die? And
Yes.
you guys are just gonna act like that didn't happen? Like she starts singing at the club, and I'm just like, and I get that they have to kind of fast forward stuff, like she can't be crying all the time, but at the same time, it's like your daughter just died.
Yes.
And we're hooking up with Michael, like really?
Oh,
So it was just kind of odd. But I did like Todd on the show, though. I did like Todd on the show, so that kind of worked out.
so you liked Todd on the show?
Yeah.
I liked him with Carly. I thought him and Carly were cute together. I thought
And then you have Blair. She came on the show for a little bit.
Yes, she did. And Taya.
Yep.
She came on in and the whole thing because the Ted King thing. Because again, Alcazar on GH was probably before your time. He was on the other show on Wire to Live, so there was a whole thing about that too.
I remember him on GH. He was one of my favorite characters back in the day for Sonny.
Yes, he was. Now he's on. I guess he hasn't been on a while on Bold. He hasn't been on a while. Ted King, who won the Emmy for the Bold Beautiful.
Really?
So, he won it. He won it this year for guest actor. So he did. So I mean, he wasn't on that much, but he is a force to be right. He's like a leading man status, I think, guy. So on General Hospital, these things, we know it could change in a minute. Who are some of your favorite characters right now? Because we are talking about the current GH. What are some of your characters you like right now?
I still love my guy Sonny. Always gonna love my guy Sonny. I like Finn, but that's mostly because I like Michael Eastwood. So almost like any character he plays, I love him. Carly and Nina. Nina can surprise me sometimes. I know a lot of people don't like Nina, but every once in a while, she's okay. I like her too. I don't think there's really a character I don't like. I would have to think about that. I don't think there's a character I don't like.
That's interesting.
Like I even like Esme.
It's very rare for a soap opera. Most of us have characters we hate for sure.
I mean, on days I definitely got my characters I don't like, but on GH, most of them I actually like. So they don't annoy me. There's some characters like the minute that they go on, you just roll your eyes.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't have characters like that on GH.
Everyone knows that was me and Peter. Everybody who knows me knows I hated the character.
Oh, you didn't like Peter?
I hated the actor, the character, everything. I'm not a fan. I've been very vocal about that. Very vocal about that, yes.
Okay. All right.
So I'm glad he's gone. I'm glad he's gone. But the girl who plays Esme, not her, the actress is wonderful because she's so good at annoying me. Because Esme's so annoying, like you said, but I like her. I think she's doing a great job. She's supposed to.
There's a lot of other movies that I've seen her play very similar roles.
Oh, really? I don't know her.
Yeah, I didn't know I'm that much either, but some of my subscribers is like, giving me like clips of like movies that she's been in. It's like, wow, even if she's not Esme on some of that stuff, she still acts like manipulative and kind of devious and stuff like that. So she's killing on this show.
I think she is too. I think I can tell people you're supposed to hate her. That's the point. I mean, that's kind of what every show needs a villain, folks.
Yeah,
they're just supposed to have one. That's very funny. So so nobody annoys you. That's great. Now it's Sonny. I was never a Sonny detractor or fan. I was always in the middle. Like Sonny was fine. I had no problem with him. I love Reese Bernard. Ever since he came back from Nixon Falls, how are you liking Smike? Or do you not like Smike? Do you want him back to being old ass Sonny?
No, I actually like him as this mixture.
Yeah.
And I think that's just because it's an evolve, you know? Like people change and sometimes it's for the better or for the worse, but people do change. And I think that's one of the things that I appreciate about his character now. I know some people's like, oh, I want him to go back to be the old Sonny. It was like, we had the old Sonny for like over
20
18,
years.
19 something years. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm cool with it. Even though I know a lot of people, it's like, even when you bring him up, I was like, oh, Sonny. Like this year, Sonny, it's like, you already know it's going to be a lot of smoke in the chat.
I like this study. No, I do. I like it. I think like everything you just said, Albert. I agree. People change. They grow up. They change. And like I love that Drew said recently because he knows how feels is too. That with different identities, so to speak. It wasn't Sonny's fault. It literally was not Sonny's fault. He was in an accident. He lost his memory. It was not his fault. And when he came back integrated, it's not his fault.
Well, I mean, it's not his fault. Some of the choices that he started making was kind of his fault. Like certain things he did,
Here we
I
go.
would
Let's
think
do it.
that.
Let's do it. Okay. Okay.
Huh?
Well, how can it be his fault if he has a new brain and he's thinking differently?
I mean, that's certain things like him cheating on Carly with Nina. You know, him sitting there rushing Carly because she wanted time, and he was like, "Oh, well, you got up into so and so," and then Christina was like, "Oh, she's not coming." Okay, so that's just a check mark off, and it's like, "All right, cool, I get to be with Nina now." Like, what?
Well, here's the
So
question. Go ahead. Please go ahead. Continue.
no. What's your question?
Because you brought up something else in there that I'm curious that relates to this. How do you feel about the whole should Sonny be jealous of Carly and Jason getting together? Even though, again, it was not her fault really either because she thought he was dead.
No, no. I don't. I don't think that he should have been jealous. I think he should have understood that things do happen. But you know what? To be fair, I don't know any man that would be okay with another
Yeah,
man
you're
being that close.
right. Yes.
You know, so like
That's
that
true.
was always a weird dynamic for me, just in general. It's like, bro, how you cool with that? Like she probably
Okay.
said multiple times, the only reason why I married you is because of him, and you're cool with that? Like I
That's,
just, that's a weird dynamic in general.
I always thought about that too, Albert. I agree with you. I always thought, I know that was his brother too, so to speak. That was his thing. But like, yeah, it's like everyone kept saying all these years, it's always Carly and Jason. You're right. I don't know any straight man in America from number one who would be like, that's fine. I don't know that. No, that's not fine.
Well, not even just a straight man, just a person in general being that close to somebody that you're with. It would just rub somebody the wrong. It just would give you too much vibes. Like y'all too close. I ain't feeling that. You know, just in a relationship in general. It's just weird.
Yeah. That's funny, but no, but the same thing. I just I always I know I never thought I'd be defending Sonny, but I just always think, well, he's a new person now. He doesn't. I mean, I guess he's going by the new him. I guess I don't know. It's all wrong. I mean, everything is all wrong. But I'd say I think folks should realize that he's not the same Sonny he was before. He had a
Yeah,
whole profound experience, and that was not his fault. Um, but I think he was trying too hard to get Carly. Well, nobody's come back from the dead for me, so I have no idea what that feels like. But I mean, it must be a really hard thing to like. You almost kind of want to go back to where your life was, so to speak. Or I'm alive, so we should be back together.
yeah,
Yet Carly sees he has feelings for Nina. That's a hard one. I mean, it was there.
yeah.
It was there.
But a little honesty would have probably helped. Just throwing it out there, you know? Because she asked, like, yo, do you have feelings? Like, I mean, it's going to hurt, but I understand. He was like, no. And I'm just like, bro, just be honest. Like,
Well, you don't think
you
that
know
he
this
was.
woman half your life.
Well, you don't think he was fighting it at first. Sometimes we deny. You try to deny things, so you don't think
No,
that's okay.
he was definitely fighting it. It was just certain, like, as much as I love Sonny, there's just certain things I just couldn't co-sign, you know? Him trying to rush Carly and her decisions and that stuff was just a mess. So I understood why people got upset with him for those things, you
Yeah.
know?
Okay. Okay. See, he's a Sunny fan, but he does hold Sunny to certain things. I've got, some
Got
fans
to.
don't. Some fans don't do that. It's whatever he does is fine. But you're like,
Yeah.
no. You're like, okay.
Well,
Um,
you have fans and then you have fanatics, so you got to remember that. Just what
you
you
know, I
said.
say it all the time. Say it all the time. Um, Now, when it comes to the show itself, there's been a lot of I'm trying to be careful how I say this. Um, well, there's been a lot of talk about how it's been run the last year or so. Storyline wise, this week actually is getting better. It's getting a little better at least. Thank God we got some movement. But for the
Yeah,
longest time, there was no movement. There was also half the people on the show have secrets, which that's a soap opera,
yeah.
of course. But I'm just wondering because of this, the way they tell how long they tell stories is kind of just poor. I'm thinking Portia and Curtis, Jordan. There's a whole bunch. I mean, Stella. There's a whole bunch of secrets. Especially all the black folks. They got a bunch of secrets in that family. Oh, like, after everything
Mhm.
comes out, the whole Astros family should be blown to bits at this point. Going on. But how have you been feeling about the? I mean, are you one of the people like us who's kind of like, yes, it has been slow storytelling. Yes, things. How you feel about GH these days?
It's crazy because I was thinking about that last night because when you gave me the email and stuff like that, and I was like, right now, if somebody had to sit there and ask me what's my favorite show to watch, I would say Days of Our Lives
Yeah, I mean,
because it's moving at a good pace.
true.
But the thing is, like with any of these soap operas, sometimes they go through ups and downs,
True.
but it's also the characters that make them worth watching. Because I've done Y&R reviews, and sometimes I'll sit there and just ask people like, so why do people like this show? And people will sit there and say, oh, well, I love the characters, I love Victor, I love so and so. So it's the characters sometimes that gets people to stay and watch, even if it's not a great episode.
That's true. Have you watched my Victor interview?
Yes, I did. It
Have
was
you
great. It
watched?
was great.
Oh, thank you. Have you watched Alan Locker's Robert interview? New interview.
No, I didn't get a chance to watch that.
It's
I'm gonna
fun.
watch it today.
Yeah, it's a good one. I think it's a good one. Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I'll tune in to somebody if it's somebody I like. Many times I'll tune in just still to watch. But I'm with you right now. Days is the one because they literally are moving at a pace that works.
Yeah.
But I know this is not why this is not a day show, but just briefly, how you feel about this? Is the last week Days is going to be on network television. It's the last week, and then it goes to Peacock. What are some of your feelings on
I feel like it's going to be crazy. Like, I mean,
that?
some people are already complaining. I've had people that come up to me because they know I watch days and stuff like that, and she was like, "Oh, I can't wait to get my package." And it's right now they're doing a special. I don't know for how long for like $2. And some people are still complaining. Other people are jumping on board,
Yeah.
and it's crazy because I feel like this whole PR thing is coming so late. Like, have you seen the commercials with the different actors? And I think one was like Rafe and Nicole. They're like, oh,
Oh,
we got a special right now, and I'm just like, where were y'all like a couple months ago? I feel like this thing just dropped so fast. Like it was on the news. Oh, they're gonna be moving to Peacock in like a month. I'm like, what? And now they're doing PR. It's like they're trying to catch up. So it's weird. I'm ready for it because I've been watching streaming stuff like a
yeah.
while. I don't have a cable box anymore, but I understand some people are just like, it's the same thing with radio to television. Um, the guy that plays Abe, he was sitting there talking about that, so I thought that was interesting. And plus, when I thought of Abe, I thought about your interview because you did a couple of interviews with him. So,
Yeah, we're friends. We're friends. We do ideas with him.
what do you
Uh,
think, though?
I'm excited. I think. Well, see, I know stuff, so I'm always like, they're trying to save your show, folks. That's basically what's going to be canceled. That was
Yes,
going to be canceled. It was going to be off the air. Period. The Beyond Salem's were tests. They were tests, and they were good. The Beyond Salem's were good.
yes,
And like you just said, we're moving into a new age. And see, I was around when MTV came out. That was a weird thing. It was like MTV, like watching music. It was like it's weird. Like we couldn't because we had the radio. Watching video, there was no videos, like videos. I remember I went to the Jackson's concert and they showed "Can You Feel It" at the beginning of the concert. We're like, wow, it's like a mini movie. There was no video. There was nothing called video. So when that came out, we had a illegal cable box. We were in the hood,
hmm
and so we had MTV. We were the first one to have MTV on my block, and right at this house I live in, and we were in the front of the room with my friends watching these things that were just on our screen. We're seeing like it's not a concert. It's not. It's like there's just like it was just so weird, and I And it was hard. A lot of people were just like, I'm listening to the radio. The radio's going to die. Clearly, the radio's still on the air. It has not died. So I liken it to this, that it's a weird transition for a lot of folks. For you talking, what, 90? Well, no, they was on radio first. So let's say 70 years. Soap's been on TV.
Days was on
I'm saying that soaps in general, they started on radio first. Days came out in 65 or whatever. So like that, I'm saying, all these years, it's around my age it's been out my whole life on television. For it to go to this new thing that's not really new anymore. Streaming's been out for a while now, folks.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like I think there's some benefits to it, and behind the scenes, in front of the camera, no more interruptions from like Biden or whatever, like what's going on with Trump. Like I think there's some great things, but I understand routine. I understand folks have routine, and you just turn on your TV at wherever it comes on where you are, 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock or whatever. You just turn on your TV. There it is. Or I have a DVR right here. I'm used to go to my DVR and Days of Our Lives. I mean, like it's gonna be weird for the first couple of days. That it's not gonna be. Well, it's gonna say General Hospital, Bold and Beautiful, Young and the Restless. That when there's gonna be no more Days of Our Lives sitting there. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be a little. I mean, I get it. It's gonna be a little weird. But like you said, I watch streaming stuff all the time. And I knew that was special. I knew they were special. But anyway, to go days. But this also relates to General Hospital folks. I'm not giving away any secrets or nothing. I'm just saying that keep that in mind also. Just say that the future of soaps might be on streaming. And it actually might be more beneficial to us if they do go there. Because I say this all the time, your networks don't care about your soaps. They really don't. They don't make enough money. They're not big money makers anymore. It's not. When he was watching Wanted to Live and everything, they were big money makers. Not anymore. They're just not. So there's going to be a huge cast slashing apparently on GH. But right now you said there's nobody you don't dislike. So who would you like? Well, besides your big ones, is there anybody you want to make sure does not go? You want to keep on the show?
Keep on the show? I mean, obviously it's going to be Sonny.
Yeah, besides Sonny and Claudia and all them. But anybody else, I think you want to make sure, like, I want to make sure they stay on. Like, at least they stay on. Anybody like that? You're like, I'll make sure they stay.
It's crazy because, the one thing I think every person that that does this type of commentary can agree that GH just has a bloated cast.
It does.
And it's then they start throwing in new people. I think they got 3 new people so far. And I'm just like, so we're going to get to the list. I was like, are we going to get to the list part? We're going to do that? Or like.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, there's definitely people that I can see going, but there's people I can see staying though too. Like it's very weird because it's like besides like Sonny and Michael and stuff like that, the rest of the cast is like they're kind of equal to me.
Yeah.
Like I can take out the Chase or I can take Finn. That's how I look at it.
And I see that. I know. I mean, we have folks who like Kelly Tebow's leaving, of course, as Britt. So I'm kind of sad. I like her, so I'm sad she's leaving, but she's going to Shondaland, so she's just fine. She'll be just fine up there on prime time. I feel like we should be watching Nicholas Chavez because he's a dynamic young actor. I think he might be, I don't know anything, but just usually these dynamic young actors usually go off and try other things. So I'm just saying, watch him because he's been doing some, in my opinion, amazing work recently.
No, definitely.
I mean, it's amazing work. And just can't. So some people just like kind of watch them because there's some folks that are, and the black folks. How do you feel about the black folks? That whole messy black family. Is that good for us because it's just soap opera, or is it getting your nerves, or what's going on?
No, I actually think it's good because it's giving people stuff or whatever to do. So they got storylines that's going on, like even with Trina. And the thing about Trina and the whole trial thing, it was so like a loaded question. Some people was like, oh, I don't want to sit there and see her go to jail because that's how it is in real life. And it's like, do you want her to have a story? Because now she has a story and she has things to do, and now you don't like it because it's too close to, like, what do you want her to do? I don't understand that, She's front and center in this whole thing. And so it's just, I get it to some extent, but I'm like, at the end of the day, you either want her to do stuff or like you're not going to be happy. That's the thing. You can't please everyone.
Well, we know that one. And you and I have been different sides of things too. But that's and that's fine. You know, and of course we're fine. We're friends. We're fine. But that's the thing is, I think that's the thing. It's like it's hard, and I think you get this also on some level. We're both black men, we're both black folks. It's one of those things because you don't see enough of us out there. So when you get a storyline, it gets extra protective, and it kind of like it shouldn't be that way. It should be just like they should get whatever storyline they give you. I mean, it should be whatever. We talked about on a previous show about the whole if that moment on our previous show makes me and DC laugh every time because it really went over your head about the Mandingo thing and Carter.
Yes.
And I was like, because we thought you were just joking. You're like, no, I mean, I didn't get the. I'm like, oh, you know that. So I mean, but it's one of those things where we said we liked the storyline because it was like it gave Carter something to do. But it's like so. I feel like with soaps, it must be really hard for us because we want to see ourselves represented, but you got to have story. So we can't really bitch about story, can we? I mean, we can, but I mean, like, we probably shouldn't, right?
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like you give them something to do. It's like I I try to understand both sides of things, but at the
Yeah,
end of the day, it's like, the lotto is they're gonna give Carter this story, and that's just the bottom line. And you don't want him that. Oh, you don't want to do it. Okay, so what do you want him to do that?
right,
Like, if you don't want to do that, what do you want him to do?
right.
Sometimes I'm just like, I feel like even as like writers or whatever, like imagine if they just clap back one day. It's like, okay, so you don't like this story. What do you want him to do? I'll write it for you right now. What do you want him to do?
Right.
You know?
I agree. And I think for me, I said I don't mind having a storyline. See, I got in trouble for a few things. Of course, I was getting in trouble. Because one of the things I said was that it's hard for me to because I love Brooke Kerr. I think she's doing an amazing job. I love her. Donnell's my friend, so because I'm being friends with him. There's no chemistry between them, in my opinion. Sorry, but I'll buy them as a couple. But there's also this whole thing with the fraternity thing. So it's making me angry. But it's a storyline because she's hiding the whole Trina thing, and Jordan knows about it, and they're playing a bit of it's like, and she's like, sure, I'll marry you, Curtis. I'm like, oh my god. People got mad that he was in the water. Black folks can swim, folks. Some of us can't swim. No, but they got mad he proposed to her in the water. I'm like, that was actually kind of cute, and he had no shirt on.
Seriously?
I'm like, I don't understand. But the whole thing is, you're right. People start to nitpick certain things, and I say, I could do the same thing, of course, as a we commentate on these shows. But I'm glad they have a storyline. Like I'm just like I'm like you. I'm like, well, they got a storyline. That's the whole point. I can be mad at Portia and like the actress, work playing her, and just like I can do both, right? We can do both, right?
Yeah.
And that's this kind of thing. And the folks again, I got to meet Sidney Michaela. I don't know if you watched that interview I did at the Emmys, where she
Yeah,
left for college. Yeah, she left for college. I said, good for I'm so glad I was able to tell her personally, I'm so glad you made that choice for yourself. Because people got mad at her too. Like, let the girl go to college, let her get an education.
I remember you said that in one of your lives too, and I was just like, so you don't want her to go to school? You want her to just work and just be there
Yeah,
and
yeah. They wanted that. No, they doesn't because she was so good. I mean, she was great. But no, folks were like, no, why is she going to school? She can't do both. It's like, well, some people can't. Some people don't want you. She's going to
yeah.
UCLA, which is a major school in the country. Maybe she wants to focus fully on her school life. It's like,
Well,
I,
you got fanat, but there's a difference between fans and fanatics, though.
I
And those are the
do.
people. Those are the people, But those are the same people that sit there and get mad at you for saying, I don't know, something.
Oh, I'll tell you what to get mad
Basically,
at me. I'll just stir up again. When I said that, I forget sometimes that Jordan is TJ's mother because the actress is hot. She's hot. She's hot. She's beautiful. I mean, beautiful. Um, she looked like she his age. And there's times I forget. I'm like, I almost forget that their mother and son.
you
I'm
think they
like,
should have had? You think they should have had an older actress?
well, first of all, black don't crack, so it's always hard. Seriously, it's always hard to find. But there are women. So I'm assuming TJ's in his 30s. Clearly, probably in his 30s because he's a doctor. So I'm saying probably mid to late 30s. Even if she had him at 18, she'd be in her early 50s, mid 50s. I have children. I have children. They're in their mid 30s. I'm 53, and I look pretty good. But I think you can find actresses who are in their 50s or late 40s just to play. I mean, they don't do exact age, but that they seem more believable. I think when Nessa Antoine played, she has kids in real life. And I was like, for some reason, I believed her and TJ. I just had no problem with them. I know at first it was a different actor playing him at first, but when he came on, it was fine. Ron Nicole Henry, of course, very light skinned. Oh, well, that's about. No, I got told for that too. It's another story.
Yeah, I remember that.
I began to believe her as his mother on some level. She looked young too, but I began to kind of believe it after a while. She was on for a while. That is actually, I wasn't a fan of hers in the beginning, but I ended up being a fan of hers towards the end. I actually really liked her. But she's still a little too young too. I don't know, I just think I feel like there's so many black actresses out. Here's an example. Tosha Story, who played Naya, against Michelle Morgan. I believe them as mother and daughter. And she has kids. Well, she has kids who are grown, but like she looks great. I think it works. I think it works. Lawrence Fishburne and Anthony Anderson on Blackish. They're only 10 years apart in age, but for some reason it worked.
Yeah.
So maybe it's the actor. If the actor acts a certain way, maybe that's it. I don't know. But she's just. I mean, when I saw her at the Emmys, I was like, who's that? They're like, that's the girl plays Jordan. That's the girl plays Jordan. I was like, she was, I mean, hot stuff running down that runway, and I'm like, she don't play nobody's mother. Nobody's mother.
I think she's a good actress, but I think it's just I don't think it may be good casting.
Oh, so you think it's a good actress? So you think she's a good actress?
Yeah.
A lot of folks don't. No, I'm laughing because a lot of folks don't.
Oh, okay.
I just say, you do 60 pages of dialogue a day. It's not easy. That's all I'm saying.
No. I've gotten a little bit of trouble for commenting on the guy that plays Finn on B&B, his acting. So, and somebody said the same thing that you said. Well, it's very hard and you should sit there and try it sometime. I was like, no, I'm good. But I understand. I get it to some extent. It's like I'm not in that field and I can't imagine how difficult it is. But, at the same time, I'm in this, but I'm in this field and, I'm trying to do what I'm doing here. So I don't know. I understand where she was coming from, but I didn't think it was that serious to clap back at me. But
they do. They
do. Yeah.
No, my joke is thing is that I want some good actors on my shows too, trust me, but not everybody's going to be top tier. Not everybody's Victor Newman. Not everybody's Kevin Kelly Lane. I mean, not everybody's the top of the chain. I think there's all kinds of people on these shows, and people attack Marcus Coloma's acting as Nicholas. It doesn't bother me. I don't. It doesn't bother me. So I mean, I don't know. Everybody has their things, but I just mentioned when you said that, I've never heard anybody say that they like. I said her age to me, she just seems so young compared to a TJ. And because they've been stepping up TJ's role, how about that? They've been showing more TJ now, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah. I remember he actually did one scene, and I think he was doing it with Marshall or something like that. And I was like, why can't we have more of that? You know? Because sort of like what you said when I was like, what do you think of Molly and TJ? He was like, I don't know, because I don't really see him that often. And Molly practically grew up on the show. You think about it, she grew up on the show. Why is she not getting more stuff to do? That annoys me. That annoys me. Put it that way.
I can see that's where we agree. And he did ask me on another show. He asked me, I'm like, I don't have any feeling for or against them. I would love to root for them, but for me, they're together. They show her once every 2 or 3 months, so that doesn't make me excited or turned on by them. It's just like, okay. I'm not against them, but again, she's a Davis girl. It's like they should be like Christina too. They're bringing her back on a little more. It's like they should be front and center. The scenes with Sonny and Christina were so wonderful. I'm like, they are so much alike. They are very much the ones that I mean, like, I was like, she's a good actress.
But then again, we get back to that whole bloated cast. So, and they just throwing more people. And now I don't know if I should sit there and say this. Somebody's coming back. Well, I think you know what I'm talking about.
Okay, here I'll just say about here's the deal. So we got first they added to the so the guy who plays Marshall now is contract. The guy who plays Evan is now contract. The guy who plays Cody is contract. So they're all contract. Meanwhile, they're bringing back Emma Sands as Holly. You're gonna finally get to that whole thing. Yep. I forgot how long. My girl Chloe Lanier is coming back as Nell. I don't know how long that's coming for. Yep. I mean, there's a few other folks coming back. So I don't think they're announced yet or fully announced yet. but that's the point. You're right. That's the point. It's like you have this huge cast, and you're bringing people back. I'm like, I mean, it's almost ridiculous, so to speak. You're like, I don't
It's
know.
actually insulting when you think about it. Like Liz has been on there for so long, and oh, we're gonna sit there and bring Nell back. What about Liz? Oh, we'll do her like in a couple of weeks. So we'll rotate it. We'll give her some screen time. Like, are you kidding me?
Let's show Sarah Weber's name on the phone, but not bring her on, which would be related to Liz. I know the Liz thing has been a big thing for fans. They are pissed, and I
And
understand.
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, and if the story again, pacing is taking forever. So yeah, and I think you're right. Part of it is so, folks out there, you don't know this. Every actor comes on with a guarantee. They call it a guarantee. They're guaranteed a certain amount of episodes and scenes per like cycle. So the writers, which I don't know how they do this, they have to figure that out in terms of storyline and who's available and all. If you're a contract, you're generally available whenever they say. But if you're reoccurring, then you're fighting with their other things they do. And as we know, some actors, well, you're an actor, you have to work. And folks, they don't pay people as much as they used to. So I actually have to go out there and get some jobs. And I live in Los Angeles, where all these shows are. It is expensive AF out here. When our gas got up to almost $8 a gallon at one point. That's how crazy it was out here.
Jesus Christ.
Cereal, Albert. I went to the store the other day. Just regular like Fruity Pebbles, $8 a box.
Yeah, I know.
$8.
I work at a supermarket. Trust me.
Oh,
I see the price every. Yeah.
that's why I saw bacon for $10. I'm like, Farmer John bacon for $10. That's crazy for a pound. That's crazy. I mean, seriously, when you have milk and eggs, everything being $6, $7, $8 a thing, you're just like, that's a cost that goes up. Here in LA, a 1 bedroom in not even a nice neighborhood, starting at 2,000 a month. Starting.
Wow.
Starting.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that. So these actors, they have to work. They got to make money. Some they got families and stuff. So I get where some go, well, you're not going to use me for the next 2 weeks. I got to get a job. So
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's like, we need you. Well, I can't be here. I'm busy doing something else. So I'm just telling you, there's a lot of these behind the scenes that happen that just that's how it is. That's how it works. But GH has a very large cast. They're about to turn 60 in April.
Next year. Next year.
Next year, April 1st. They're coming off of being best show, best direction, best supporting actor and actress. I think there was one more. They got a lot. Oh yeah, those two. They got some major awards this last time.
Did they get more than Dave?
Get writing or lead actor actress. They didn't get those two.
Okay.
That was Michelle Morgan who made history, which to me still have to say that. It kills me to have to say that. In 2022, she made history as the first African American female to win Best Actress. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And John McCook won his first Emmy, which is like he's been on the show. He's been a legend for Bold and Beautiful. So it's like the lead actor and actress thing was kind of fun. But the other two, it was Nicholas Chavez. It was the guy who plays Cyrus, and of course Kelly Tebow. They all won, so they were all General Hospital people. And the guy who plays Cyrus, well, Jeff Corey, he's the bomb. He is the bomb.
Yeah, no, I love that guy.
Oh, I love Cyrus. But as we got, I can talk to you further at the end. This went on longer than I meant to. Just lastly, should people tune into General Hospital? Should they even give it a try? In your opinion, should they give it a try?
Oh, Jesus.
Somewhere else for, I'm not sure. You go somewhere else, or what do you think?
Honestly, to tell you the truth, if I'm going to be honest, I'll tell them to go to Dave's.
Yeah, me too.
And I don't like saying that because I grew up watching GH, and people told me practically, you should sit there and review Days because it's really good. And I think like at the time, one of the writers from One Life Live was on there, so I was like, I'll sit there and check it out. And then after about a week of just trying to remember the names, I loved it. So GH has really good characters. I feel like it's almost like with every soap opera, they'll have, if you like the characters, you'll stick around. If the story is kind of good sometimes, because like even with YNR, people are like, "Oh, I love YNR because I love the characters," and I'm just like, "But nothing happened in today's episode." I know, but I really love the characters. I'm like, "All right, bro. All right, cool. That's." So, what about you though?
I would probably if somebody says I either I watch one soap that's not General Hospital, or I don't watch soaps at all. I probably say go to Days of Our Lives first. It's very diverse, everything. But General Hospital is one of my staples. I will never stop watching it. Never.
No, hear me out.
I would never stop watching it. I'm gonna continue watching it to whatever conclusion it comes to. And there are a lot of characters I like on the show that are just like they're long time staples that I like that I want to see what happens to them. And I never wish any show to go off the air. I never wish anybody lose their jobs because completely the cast, not just them, but the crew, behind the scenes, who work very hard for these. They work hard on these shows, folks. They work very hard for these shows together, and so
They wear the mask all day and stuff like that. It's a lot. It's a lot.
a lot. And I think what Albert and I both trying to say on some level is that we try to give the shows enough grace and go, okay, we know this is what this is, we know what that is, but we want good show. I want to be entertained. I think Albert, you want to be entertained too, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's not so much like even though I'm telling people to probably go to Days, I still love the characters of GH. Brooklyn, Chase, Ben, Liz. You know what I'm saying? Even if the episode isn't really that great, I'll still watch it because I love the characters.
Sure.
I just wish they would do more and fix the little problems that they have. Be perfect.
Yes,
Because it's not a terrible show. It's a good show. It could be better, but it's still a good show with good characters.
I agree, and that's where we'll end it. And folks, I watch every day. So I mean, I've been watching every day I've been watching since the '70s. So I've been watching more than half my life. That will not change. We'll continue doing this show, of course, and we will be back with me and my co-host Frank Moran at some point. But in the meantime, check out Albert. So Albert, tell me where they can find you and your show.
Um, Albert Bostic on YouTube.
Yeah, so I'll put it in the description. He does all kinds of stuff on there. So go follow him, check out his stuff, become a subscriber, hit that bell for notifications when he has new stuff coming out. So do that, do that, do that. I know you do that here already, so I'm passing it on to other people. Pass it on, pass it on. Tell two friends. Thanks for being on the show, Albert. Thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's always fun working with you. So
Yes, we good. And I'm James Lott Jr. So you guys know who that is. I'm the JLJ of JLJ Media, where all JLJs are sold everywhere. Please take care of yourselves. If you're in heat, try to stay hydrated. As I know it's crazy out there all over the country and all over the world. I know people watch all over the world. Be careful out there. Talk to you next time.